Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to head to a galaxy far, far away with Dark Droids D-Squad by Mark Guggenheim and Salva Espin. This is the Dark Droids tie-in I was probably the most excited about, as it brings back the legendary D-Squad. The droid unit R2 was part of during the Clone Wars under the command of probably one of my favourite Star Wars characters, Colonel Meba Gascon. On top of those fan favourite characters making a return, I was really quite intrigued to see how Mark would handle a book where many of the characters don't actually speak English words. They're usually beeps or whistles or random, computer noises. And I gotta say, he did a really good job in that regard to get the story through. The story picks up with R2-D2 having been spaced by the Scourge-infected C-3PO floating through an asteroid belt where he comes upon a ship which just so happens to be piloted by Dak-45, his old war buddy. Now this is one of those Deus Ex Machina moments I didn't particularly like about the book. Yeah, the reason Dak is out there is because he's a courier running a shipment to the Rebel Alliance fleet that was there before it went to hyperspace, and he got stuck in the asteroid field. However, it just feels so convenient that it was Dak piloting the ship and not just some random other droid, and that R2 managed to find the ship in the asteroid field. Anyway, Deus Ex Machinas aside, R2 takes command of the ship and heads to the closest planet, where yet another Deus Ex Machina moment happens, where they run into Chopper, who is on his own secret mission for the rebellion. I really do love how bitchy Chopper is, not even caring about R2's plight to help save his friend 3PO, and the whole conversation he and R2 have through their beeps and whistles is conveyed surprisingly well, especially in no small part to Salva Espin's art, which, thanks to the silent nature of the book, does a lot of the heavy lifting to get the story across. I love the use of background gradients actually being used to help signal the tension between the characters, going from, light colors to kind of a fiery orange to an angry red as they get more and more upset at each other, not helping each other. Eventually, Dak does manage to mediate a peace between the astromechs, and Chopper reveals that he has heard of a violent protocol droid wreaking havoc on another planet, prompting R2 to just kind of ditch Chopper and Dak and hijack a ship to go after who he thinks is 3PO. Now, if you're like me and you've been reading these Star Wars comics for a while now and you hear of a violent protocol droid, only one really comes to mind, and that is indeed where the story goes, as R2 finds the droid isn't C-3PO, but it's 000, Dr. Aphra and Darth Vader's former killer protocol droid. It's a little predictable, but I'm happy 000 is back in some way, and I'm looking forward to seeing his partner BT as well in the next issue. Mark also delivers a rather important backup story for Ajax Sigma, revealing his backstory and how his droid rebellion was cut down by the Jedi during the High Republic, and it does mostly go over the information which we got in Mark's Star Wars Revelation special from earlier on in this year, but I like that we got to spend some proper time with Ajax to go through why he fought the Jedi for his people. The most interesting thing is how he didn't turn into a violent being hellbent on revenge, despite what many of the other droids he was partnered with were telling him, but instead decided that there will just be some people in the universe who won't accept the free droids for who they are, while others will, and he decides he's going to dedicate his life to peace. It's a nice dichotomy with the Scourge, who wants nothing but to consume everything and everyone and just kill everything it sees. I really don't know why this backup story wasn't in the main Dark Droids book. This is really fascinating, and Ajax is definitely a multifaceted, interesting character, and I wish we'd gotten more of him and his moral dilemma he finds himself in, since it's such an interesting thing for a droid in the Star Wars universe to deal with, being that lots of droids are either good guy droids or bad guy droids. There's no real in between when it comes to some of them. Mark Guggenheim's first issue of D-Squad, while simple and enjoyable, was a little too predictable and convenient in its story beats. However, a deeply rich, character-focused backup story that is almost required reading for this event really makes the book worth it. I am going to give this issue a 7 out of 10.